Well, here we are again. So over a year since my last history video. How the time does fly. Today I'm going to continue my History of Sodor series with a video on the history of the Culdee Fell Railway. Buckle up, it's a long way to the top. What a joker. Before we get to the history of the railway, first some background of the mountain itself is needed. Culdee Fell is the name of a mountain on the island of Sodor. With a summit 2,048 feet above sea level, it is the highest point of the whole island. The mountain's name translates from the indigenous Sudric language to the Mountain of the Companion of God. Nice. This name came from the fact that St Machan, the patron saint of Sodor, lived in a cave of the mountain when he came to Sodor in the 6th century. He came over from Ireland and lived in solitude in the mountain. St Machan became a legendary figure, and people came to him from far and near to hear him preach. His cave remained a place of pilgrimage even after his death, and the mountain then came to be known as Culdee Fell, Hill of the Holy Man. Culdee Fell was an attraction long before a railway had been built onto it. For centuries, people had been making the pilgrimage to St Machan's cave. The idea for a railway wouldn't be thought of until the very end of the 19th century. The Culdee Fell Railway was the brainchild of the Mid-Sodor Railway, a narrow gauge line that ran from Arlesborough to King Ori's Bridge from 1880 to 1947. The Mid-Sodor had hoped that at some point they would be able to extend their railway around the valley to Kirk Machan, where it would meet a mountain railway that could deliver passengers to the summit. This would bring more tourism to the town of Peel Godred. Lord Peter Birain, the landowner, was reluctant to have a railway built on the mountain, fearing it would disrupt the natural beauty, so the project was left in limbo for some time. The Skarloey Railway, another narrow gauge line, seized the opportunity to capitalise on mountain excursions and began to widely advertise them. Trains would meet wagonettes at Skarloey Station, and people would then be transported to where it would only be a short climb up the mountain, to the summit. This service devastated the people of Peel Godred and Kirk Machan, who saw their tourist traffic dribbling away to the other side of the island. Finally, after much negotiation, Lord Peter relented and plans for a mountain railway's construction were finally put into action. In February 1897, the first sod of the Rack Railway was cut by Lady Elaine, Lord Peter's eldest daughter, at Kirk Machan. Under Lord Peter's chairmanship, the Culdee Fell Tramroad and Hotel Company Limited had been formed and served as the sponsors of the railway. The Snowdon Mountain Railway, climbing Mount Snowdon in Wales, had been built not long before the Culdee Fell, and much of their advice on the Rack Rail track system was adopted. Construction went off without a hitch, and inspectors from the Board of Trade cleared the railway for passenger traffic in March 1900. The line was opened on Whit Monday, and things ran smoothly for a month. One day, on a return journey down the mountain, the number 1 engine, Godred, derailed at a stretch of line named Devil's Back, and fell down a ravine. No passengers were injured and the coach stayed on the rails, but the engine was found to be beyond repair. The railway reopened on Easter Monday in 1901, and the railway's safety record has remained spotless ever since. Lord Peter Birain was the first chairman of the railway. He was no longer chairman by 1963. At this time, his descendant, Lord Harry Birain, had succeeded him. While Lord Harry Birain was chairman, Walter Richards served as the manager of the railway. Think of him as the mountain version of the Fat Controller. Richards was still managing the railway by 1992. The Culdee Fell Railway adopted the same track system as the Snowdon Railway. The way the locomotives are able to climb the mountains is because of a rack rail in the middle of the track. Every mountain engine has a gear on their axles with teeth that lock in and grip the rail. These are called pinion wheels. This way, the engines are able to push trains up the mountain. Pulling rolling stock is forbidden due to safety concerns and the way that the locomotives are designed. 5 engines were initially purchased to run the railway before it opened. Godred, number 1, Ernest, number 2, Wilfred, number 3, Culdee, number 4, and Shane Duini, number 5. These engines were all built in Switzerland and shipped to Sodor prior to the railway's opening in 1900. To this day, Godred has not been replaced since his accident. The other 4 engines ran the line for 61 years, until 3 new engines arrived in 1962, built with a new superheat design. I would have said it was conceit myself.
What?
What? Lord Harry, number 6, was the first to arrive, followed by Alaric, number 7, and Eric, number 8, who arrived 6 months later. Godred was named after King Godred MacHarold, a famed Sodor king who had lived in the 10th century. Culdee was named after the mountain the railway climbed, and Shanedoini was also named after another Sodor mountain. Lord Harry was named after the chairman of the railway, Lord Harry Boraine. This engine was later renamed Patrick after a climber stuck at the summit he bravely rescued during a storm. One thing the engines of the railway had in common was that they were all painted purple. Oh, and they also had 2 frickin' faces on either end. I guess so they can see where they're going when they're running backwards down the mountain? It's a very strange choice that raises many questions about the anatomy of talking steam trains with faces. But that doesn't really interest me. Each engine of the railway had their own coach. The only one whose name is known as Catherine, Culdee's coach. The rolling stock of the railway is limited with only a few wagons. The truck is the most prominent non-passenger wagon and is used by workmen for track maintenance. The terminus of the railway lies at the village of Kirk Machan at the foot of the mountain. The Peel-Godred branch line of the North Western Railway meet the mountain railway here. The engine sheds and workshops are located just north of the station. The route continues to the station of Shiloh, where there is a passing loop and a water tank. It then passes Polney Crink, a 1,000-foot wide lake, which was designated a wildlife sanctuary prior to 1987. The route then travels over the Skarloey Road viaduct to the halfway station. This station has a booking office and refreshment room for passengers. From here, passengers can decide whether to continue the train journey up the mountain or begin the trek to the summit on foot. The route continues up the mountain and crosses Devil's Back, a bleak and windy ridge. A station's man's hut lies on the ridge, as well as a water column for the locomotives. There is a passing track here so that one train can stop and another can continue up or down the mountain. The gradient becomes less steep after Devil's Back and continues up until the summit station. There is a hotel behind the station and 2 tracks for trains to stop and let passengers off. The special rack rail track gauge is 2 foot and 7.5 inches wide, and the route to the summit is 8 miles or nearly 13 kilometres. St Machan's Cave is now a national monument, and his birthday, April 30th, is a public holiday. The railway runs a special service on his day, with ticket fares greatly reduced. Like the Skarloey and Arsdale railways, the Culdee Fell is based directly off a real-life railway, that being the Snowdon Railway that climbs Mount Snowdon, which is located in Gwynedd, northwest Wales. Mount Snowdon has an elevation of 1,085 metres, or 3,560 feet, above sea level, and it's the highest mountain in all of Wales. This railway opened in 1896, 4 years before Culdee Fell. The locomotives on the real line are mirrored by the characters in the books. The story of Godred is directly based on what happened to the Snowdon No. 1 engine, Ladys, on the first day the railway opened. On the 6th of April 1896, Ladys was coming back down the mountain with the very first commercial passenger train when it derailed. Ladys skidded nearly 100 metres and tumbled down the mountainside. The engine was a total wreck when it reached the bottom, with only the wheels, pistons and frames being left intact. The remains were taken to Llanberis sheds and were used for parts. Not a great first day for your new railway. The railway closed for a time and had a second opening after additional repairs and checks had been made to the line. To this day, the railway never replaced Ladys or gave another engine the No. 1. The names of the fictional engines are also derived from the real locomotives. Ernest is based on Enid, Wilfred is based on Wifida, Culdee is named after the mountain, like Snowdon, and Shanedoini is also named after a mountain, like Moel Siavad. Patrick is based on Pardan, who was previously known as Sir Harmod, like how Patrick was known as Lord Harry. Alaric is based on Ralph, previously known as Alchwin, and Eric is based on Uri. Fuck, I don't know. The name looks like Eric, so I think that's why he's called Eric. Both Ralph and Uri have been out of service on the railway since the early 1990s and, sadly, are unlikely to ever return to working service again. Many new locomotives have been purchased to run this railway since the publication of Mountain engines, all of them either diesel or electric engines. The fictional Culdee Fell Railway route runs for 8 miles, where the real railway only has a route of 4.7 miles. Bigger is better, I guess. The railway and its locomotives only ever appeared in one book of the Railway series by the Reverend W. Awdry, that being the 19th book in the series, Mountain Engines, published in 1964. It's never appeared in the television series, only being mentioned occasionally. In the TV series, it is said that Mr. Percival, who runs the Skarloey line, also runs the Culdee Fell. But they never appeared, and they're never likely to now, because they just make this all engines go crap, so there. And that's all I have to say about that. Despite only ever appearing in one Railway series book, I think that the Mountain Railway is probably one of the most interesting railways we've seen on Sodor, and the fact that it appeared so sparsely only helped to add to the mystique. Personally, going to Mount Snowdon and seeing the real railway is on my bucket list. I'd love to see the real thing, considering the main differences are just that the engines are green and don't have two faces. I hope you've enjoyed learning a bit of nonsense fictional lore and a little bit of true history here today. Until next time, stay classy, and don't forget to wash behind your ears. See ya!